Today we have for the Sustainable Agriculture Workshop, we have Will Harris from White Oak Pastures, one of the pioneers in sustainable agriculture practices. So welcome, Will. Welcome to the workshop.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good. So my question I will ask you, we're going to be doing interview style. So the first question I will ask is, could you give us a little history? Because I know when we met before, you had given me a whole history about White Oak Pastures. Could you give me a little history about White Oak Pastures and where it started from to where it is today?
Sure. So White Oak Pastures in Bluffton, Georgia is our family farm, started by my great-grandfather in 1866. He farmed the place for his whole career, followed by my grandfather, his son, Will Carter Harris, followed by his son, my dad, Will Bell Harris, followed by me. And currently the farm's being run by me, 2 daughters, 2 in-laws, and 170 or so really great people that work here.
Okay. So that's good. So fun. So it sounds like you have a major enterprise. So one of the questions I'll ask you is, when did you officially decide to, go into sustainable agriculture farming? What prompted you to do that?
So White Oak Pastures is currently on 3,200 acres here along Highway 27. Is contiguous. And in addition, there's soon to be about 3,800 acres that are solar arrays that we graze. We have a vegetation management contract with the owner of the facilities. So we graze sheep and poultry on those acres.
Okay.
The farm is actually bigger than I ever intended for it to be. When I moved away from the industrial model, I found it necessary to build a USDA inspected red meat plant on the farm, and later a USDA inspected poultry plant on the farm. And the volume requirements to make those expensive plants cash flow involved adding a lot of acreage, a lot of other species. Today we pasture raise 5 red meat species: cows, hogs, sheep, goats, rabbits, the butcher mill farm.
Okay.
We pasture raise 5 poultry species: chickens, turkeys, geese, guineas, ducks, and we hand butcher them in a separate facility on the farm. We raise pastured eggs, certified organic vegetables, honey, and a number of other ancillary businesses that go to make the operation work.
Okay. So that's good. So like you have a lot of animals put together because your system where you lay out your farm is very sustainable. So could you give us an idea of some of the techniques, like for example, some of your planting techniques, some of the way you raise your animals or you rear your animals sustainably? If you could give the audience a little idea of some of the techniques that you use.
So I farmed this farm very industrially from the time I graduated from the University of Georgia in 1976, which was the mid-90s. In the mid-90s, I started moving away from that monocultural, industrial, commodity, centralized system. During that period of time, it was a monoculture of only cattle.
Okay.
I was motivated to move away from that system because I became increasingly dissatisfied with the excesses of those farming methods. We use a tremendous amount of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, subtherapeutic antibiotics on the animals, ionophores, hormone implants, all of the tools the reductionist science provided to take cost out of production. When my enlightenment came, when I realized what I was doing to my land and my animals, and just didn't like it much anymore. So I started moving away from things I didn't like. Sadly, I did not have a grand plan of where I was going. I was just moving away from things I didn't like. I was very fortunate, and I inherited a nice farm and a herd of cattle with no debt, so I could afford to take some risks and do some things. When I started moving away, I enjoyed the production side of the operation more, but I realized that I had suffered a loss of volume, production volume. So I needed to make up for it by marketing the animals in a higher value market. You could not put additional quality into a commodity crop to extract that value from the commodity market. We don't allow that. There's no room to move.
Right.
So we built the brand that is White Oak Pasture and started marketing more directly to consumers. At first, I sold Whole Foods markets, Publix, Kroger, and others. And fast forward 25 years later, we do market a lot of our product direct to consumers through our online store and delivery through UPS and FedEx.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you have like I said, everything integrated from the rearing of the animals to actually processing of the animals and also to sell the animals to your to a specific market, right? To your online stores and as well as your general store on the farm. But my other question to you would be, where do you see sustainable agriculture fitting, or I wouldn't say changing, but trying to shift the trend from, like as you said, the monoculture and the traditional way of farming in like the next 50 years?
Well, we refer to what we do as regenerative land management. And whether or not, I'm unsure whether I am in a niche that is fine, if that's the way it works out. We have been fortunate enough to accumulate enough customers to make our business work, or whether this is really a trend that will have a long-term impact on changing the way we produce food. I really don't know that.
Okay.
And I will not get to decide that. That's in the hands of the consumer.
Okay.
And the fact is, consumers are very addicted to very cheap food. The food is remarkably cheap. As an example, extreme example, I see whole chicken fryers on sale in the grocery store for $1 a pound. Sometimes it's $2 a pound. It costs us over $4 a pound to raise a bird regeneratively and humanely and put it in a bag at my plant.
Right.
So for this sort of farming to really get traction in terms of market penetration, consumers are going to have to choose to support. I don't think that my cost of production is really as high as that example indicates. But the fact is, in the industrial model, many of the costs are externalized and not paid for at the checkout counter by the consumer.
Right. So do you think that people are ready to pay that premium price for a regeneratively raised chicken in today's world?
I'm positive that some are, because I sell $25 million worth of product a year.
Right.
And people are paying enough to cover my cost of production.
Okay.
I'm equally sure that everybody won't do it, because I just know enough of my people to know that everybody won't do it. So and where that needle stops between where we are now and where I would like to see it, I have no idea. I think about it a lot, and I'm asked that question a lot, but I have no idea.
So that's, I mean, because everybody always talks about, if we take it away from the animals, if we look at crops, everybody always talking about organic crops, right? And if you look at the grocery versus an organic tomato or organic apple is much higher price than industrial grown um, fruit or vegetable. So I mean, I guess you're right. People will pay. People who want to pay for that price, knowing that their animals are healthy, clean, and raised humanely, will actually pay for it as compared to somebody who's accustomed to cheap food. So I agree with you on that one. So do you think that the government, right, like for example, the government institutions like the USDA, NIFA, do you think they support regenerative agriculture as much as they could as compared to the industrial type of agriculture?
Well, to say what the government will do is difficult. There's so many factors, so factionalized. To be sure, money has been put into supporting my niche of agriculture. To be sure, there's been some money put there that had not been previously put there. But I do also understand the power of big ag, big food, and lobbyists.
Right.
Tremendous amounts of money are spent to support the policies that promote, again, commodity, industrial, centralized food production system. So that is an uphill battle. The government will push people this way. That will have to be a consumer decision.
Okay. So yeah, but I'm thinking that I mean, I would say like 10 years ago to present time, a lot more money has actually been put into promoting regenerative programs. So at least we're heading in the right direction. Hopefully, but I guess we have to balance it out versus regeneration versus the industrial commodity type farming. So that's something to really, really think about. My other question would be if you had to give an advice to a young farmer, a young entrepreneur, or even a student who wants to pursue regenerative agriculture, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to be careful in your approach to regenerative agriculture. So many people come to this side of the business because they are smitten with production practices, doing better for the land and the water and the animals and the community. And that's very appealing to most of us. And it's good. It's very good. But the production is actually the easy part. After it's produced, there's got to be some form of processing. Consumers don't buy hogs and cows and sheep.
Right.
They buy beef and pork and lamb. And that processing aspect has got to be handled. After that, there's a market access issue. When you get it processed into a marketable, monetizable product, getting it to the consumer is difficult. We farm in places like Georgia and Missouri and Arkansas, but most of the consumption of high value products is in the zip codes with high disposable income.
Right.
Getting it to the consumer is more onerous than most people consider. I certainly don't want to be guilty of dissuading anyone. But you asked me about the advice on the hardships, and that's where the ships go on the rocks a lot of times.
Okay. So my last question to you would be like, for example, where are you taking white oaks in the future? What are some of the future developments you have in mind that you want to see white oak pastures achieve?
We started an educational component here last year. We founded a 501c3 nonprofit called Center for Agricultural Resilience. And that's an endeavor on my part to give back to the community. We've spent 25 years or more figuring this out, and we certainly don't have all the answers to all the problems. I can assure you of that. But there are things that we have figured out, and we want to make that information available to, I almost say young people. You don't have to be young, but people who are interested in the conversion to a food production system that's better for the land and the animals in the local rural community.
Okay. That's good. I'm also supposed to actually come to one of you guys' educational programs in July, so I'm really looking forward to that. Well, thank you very much, Will, for your time this morning, chatting with us a little bit, give us a little idea of what White Oak Pastors is all about, and some of your thoughts, and we greatly appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.